My nephew, Matthew Perna, went into the Capitol. He was part of a crowd that was pushing behind him, poking him with flagpoles and whatnot. He stayed within the velvet ropes, much like a tourist, with his cell phone in hand, and he live streamed on Facebook. He was in there for something like 14 minutes, and he went out the back door. After which, his picture appeared on the FBI website, and I happened to see it one night at 1 o'clock in the morning, and my heart just sank. And by morning, my brother had visited Matt and told him what happened, and Matt had already known about it, that his picture was there. And at 9 o'clock that morning, he called the FBI, and he told them who he was. And they came out, and they interviewed him, and they were very nice and very cordial. It wasn't like some of the other ones where you see them coming in with guns blazing. They were very professional. They interviewed him and said if they had any more questions, they would be back. I did not like the sound of it. I didn't like the feel of it. I hopped on a plane and I headed back to Pennsylvania. And sure enough, a week later, they came with 5 FBI agents to arrest him. Matt was not one that went into prison. He was not on house arrest. He was not allowed to leave the area, but it was understood that he was, being watched by a parole officer or a probation officer. And the next 13 months, he was originally charged with the misdemeanors, and then about 2 weeks later, they charged 240 of the J6ers with the felony charge of obstruction of a official proceeding. And that's when the nightmare began. It was followed by months and months of delayed and postponed hearings, and there were no negotiations about the charges. They refused to drop any of them. And it was wearing on my nephew's mental state something horrible. We watched him deteriorate right before our eyes. And my brother, Matt's dad, has Parkinson's disease. And his illness was being affected greatly, and it was breaking Matt's heart to watch what has happened. And he just felt terrible about it. And so his attorney told him the best way to get this over with was to plead guilty, a decision that I was not in agreement with because I don't believe you should plead guilty to something you didn't do. He didn't harm anyone, didn't break anything, didn't steal anything, no violence of any kind. Prior to that day, had never had a parking ticket. So he pled guilty, and his sentencing hearing was supposed to be on March the 3rd of last year. And about a week before, he called his attorney, and he said, I have a very bad feeling about next Monday. That's the day my mom died. And there are no coincidences in these J6 cases. They choose dates with a purpose. And I'll take it to my grave that they chose that date because they knew it would cause him even more heartache. He called me on the phone sobbing, and he told me that they were looking to add a terrorism enhancement at that sentencing. Up till that point, we thought Matthew was going to spend 6 to 12 months in a federal prison camp, and he actually resigned himself to the fact that he would be there and was trying to make a positive out of it. He told me he was going to teach the other inmates so they could get their GED, and he was going to work on another degree for himself. But hearing this news about a sentencing enhancement, we later found out that it would have taken his sentence to 5 to 6 years in prison. And it was too much for my nephew to handle. And that Friday evening, February 25th of last year, he hanged himself in his garage. And our family has never been the same since. And our government has never apologized. And although there are several congresspeople who know about his case now, not one of them wanted to talk to us when we were going through this. I can't tell you how many we reached out to. Emails, phone calls, our local representative. We reached out to people that weren't even from our state of Pennsylvania. Not one phone call was returned. And I just feel like there are many people to blame for my nephew's death. It is our government, our DOJ. It is the community. It is the American public who has turned their backs on these people and have not treated them humanely in any sense of the word.